Chapter 16. I sat in the school lunchroom with Malcolm eating pizza. Unfortunately, school had the worst pizza in the history of pizza. It looked good. It smelled edible. I'd buy the pizza thinking, how bad could it really be? And every time, it still tasted spine-chillingly lousy. It didn't taste as bad as horseradish, but it was a close runner-up. So I gnawed on the burnt rubbery crust with tired-tasting sauce and runny, nausea-eating cheese, telling Malcolm my problems. No one wants every street named Otto, he said. Forget the street naming part. That wasn't really the point. I tried to saw my teeth through the pizza crust. I think I might have chipped a tooth. I continued admitting my problems. It felt good, to tell the truth. I can't keep track of my appointments. The you ought to call Otto dog walking service is having growing pains, like the Incredible Hulk. Malcolm stared at me, confused. The Hulk is a dweeby science guy who turns into a giant monster, but is still wearing the same pants. I mean, isn't your underwear riding up your butt when you're the Hulk? I know he's practically invulnerable and all, but he's gotta hurt. But that's gotta hurt. I'd hate that. The Hulk doesn't get hurt when you shoot him, like with a rocket missile, so I doubt tight underwear is gonna make an issue in the pain department. But that's beside the point. You said last night everything was great, began Malcolm. That was before I spent 3 hours trying to figure out what I wrote. Is there even a Pine Avenue? I don't think so. That solves one problem, I said, relieved. You just need to be responsible, said Malcolm. There was that word again. I insisted. You need to keep on a schedule. Organize your finances. It is not hard. Easy for you to say. I pushed away my pizza. I needed my magician handsaw to finish it. I can't track my appointments, even if I had the rest of my natural-born life to do it. Does that mean you can keep track once you're a vampire? I've been wondering the same thing. We both looked at each other for a few seconds, thinking, but we didn't come up with an answer. Anyway, I said, keeping track of time and money is not easy. For you, he scoffed. You could do better. What do you think? Of course he could do better, Malcolm said, practically. But he was a math genius. He won the Mathlete of the Year in 5th grade. He received a trophy and everything. If you don't have math athletes in your school, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. It's sort of like a spelling bee, but for math. You stand in a line and answer math questions. Everyone in the school participates. I guess that math people were jealous of the spelling bee, so they invented mathletes. Other departments were thinking of doing the same thing. I heard rumors that there might be a geography contest called Geographophobia and a history contest called History Olympics. The school might also have begun a contest with running and swimming and gymnastics, but I had no idea what they would call that. So, I asked, are you going to help me get organized? Malcolm laughed. But this was no laughing matter. I'm serious. Are you, Malcolm? Bit into his chocolate brownie dessert. He chewed very slowly and stared at him, waiting for an answer. He continued to chew. Hurry up and swallow already. Finally, he gulped down to the food and said, Maybe. How much are you going to pay me? The saving for a dog, I protested. You're my best friend. You should pay me. Why would I pay you? Fine, you shouldn't. Bad idea, I admitted. But I can't pay for you. I need to save every extra cent. You won't be able to make any sense unless you are organized. That makes sense, but giving Malcolm part of my hard-earned income would make it that much harder to win. Take it or leave it. I'm fine either way. Malcolm bit off another piece of his brownie and sat back in his chair, as if he didn't care about the world. Remember when I mentioned that art of negotiating? You should always act like you don't care. This gives you the upper hand. I knew Malcolm was just pretending to be uninterested to get more money, but I was too smart for him. I could play that game too. I'll leave it, then, I said, shrugging. Great. You want to play soccer today? Suggested Malcolm. Wait, I said, hold on. We're still negotiating? You said you wouldn't leave it. That was negotiating, obviously. Malcolm wasn't a shred or businessman, as I thought he was. How much do you want? 20%. 20%, I wailed. I can give you half of my money. It's not half, it's 1/5. You really are horrible at math, aren't you? Still giving 1/5 is something better than getting all of nothing. I held out my hand. It's a deal. We shook on it. But I'm in charge. This is my business. It's not you ought to call Otto and Malcolm's dog walking service. It's you ought to call Otto's dog walking service. I think you ought to call Otto the mashed potato brain bonehead had a nice ring to it. Meatloaf breath, snot-nosed weasel breeder, cafeteria pizza lover. Malcolm stopped and looked at my mangled, half-chewed pizza slice. Good one. I think you got me that time. After lunch, we went to social studies class. I was just getting settled into my seat when Miss Swift cleared her throat. Put your books away and take out your pencils, she announced, and began passing out tests. A surprise quiz? I whispered to Malcolm. Malcolm looked at me as if I was batty. No surprise. Aren't you ready for it? Almost. Now that I thought about it, I vaguely remembered something about the test today. On the Civil War, I think maybe Abraham Lincoln was our president back then. The North fought the South. The rest was a blur. I don't think I did very well, but I couldn't flunk, or I'd be losing this war before I saved practically anything. Just when things were looking better, too. How'd you do? Malcolm asked as we handed back our papers. Did Abraham Lincoln invent the top hat? I asked Malcolm. Shook his head. So, I got at least one question wrong. Malcolm came to my house after dinner. He brought an appointment book that his dad didn't need. He carefully rewrote in the addresses and appointment times for every customer in it. When he couldn't read what I wrote, he found the person's phone number and called to confirm. He even changed a couple of appointments that I had accidentally double booked. The next best thing is being responsible by yourself is to having someone being responsible for you. So, we're going great. Lexi's snarly smile hadn't been seen in days, and my money was ready to grow to incredible Hulk-like proportions without the under issues. Nothing could go wrong now. That night, as I sat waiting at the table, waiting for Mom to bring dinner over, I could practically smell my own dog leaping beside me, begging for scraps, eager to be a part of our family. Although, actually, that the odor was on my hands from walking dogs all afternoon. It was a great smell, but I washed my hands before Mom yelled at me. Otto, hang up your jacket, Mom screamed from the hallway. She can always find something to yell at me about, though. The next day, I showed up to all my dogs' walking appointments on time, thanks to Malcolm's expert scheduling skills. But to be perfectly honest, dog walking was still harder than I thought it would be. None of these dogs listened to me. They would go left when I wanted them to go right, or go backwards when I wanted them to go forward. Or when I wanted to go fast, they were walking me more than I was walking them. One dog, Milo, didn't want to move at all and refused to budge even after I begged him for 10 minutes. I carried Milo most of the way. I figured that it was okay because I promised to walk the dogs, but I didn't promise that the dog would be the one doing the walking. Luckily, Milo was a toy poodle. That's a small dog. You wouldn't think walking dogs would be tiring, but it is, even when you're not carrying them. My feet hurt, my legs ached, I was so tired walking Grizzle and the American Foxhound while riding my skateboard. Foxhounds are fast, so I thought it was a great idea and pretty fun too, except when she ran off the sidewalk and my skateboard skidded after her, I wiped out, which happened every 7 seconds. Don't turn, wipe out. Hold on, wipe out. No, not the tree. So I gave up on that idea. I told Mom she needed to buy more bandages. I also asked if she minded if I walked the dogs on her treadmill. I was with Chucky the chinchilla at the time. Yes, I mind, she insisted, but it's not like you ever use it. I use it. But she really doesn't. I might have it might have been the best though. Chucky has serious bathroom issues. He must have peed every 3 minutes. It would have been it created a big mess. To make things worse, he kept trying to pee on people. Maybe he thought people looked like fire hydrants. It's really awkward apologizing to a jogger for being peed on. It's even harder apologizing to one jogger while your dog is trying to pee on a different jogger at the same time. I stopped clutching Chucky's leash tightly. A cat crossed our path, a black cat too. Chucky immediately growled and probably would have chased it if he hadn't been going to the bathroom. Then say if a black cat crossed your path, bad things will happen. I hope not. 5 years ago, I broke a mirror. I heard that if you break a mirror, you get 7 years of bad luck. I still had 2 years to go. So, if you added the black cat, the odds were stacking up against me. Come on, Chucky, let's jog, I shouted after he had done his business. We broke into a light trot. I wanted to get away from the cats as fast as I could. But maybe black cats were good luck, because when I arrived at home, I almost barreled over by Caitlin Singer stomping down the stairs. She was in Lexi's class and was in the school play the year before. She stared at Annie Oakley, and I'm pretty sure she was the best singer in school. But her voice sounded gruff and angry on the staircase, not melodic like it did on stage. Thanks a lot, she howled, her face flushed red as if she had been crying. I'm sorry, stammered Lexi, hurrying down the steps after Caitlin. Lexi's face looked red too. Maybe they both have been crying? I really am. Not everyone can be as smart as you, snicked Caitlin. I'm not stupid. I didn't say that you were stupid. I said your answer was stupid. It's the same thing. Not technically. You just gave me a stupid answer sometimes, said Lexi. Caitlin bolted to the doorway. That's not what I meant. Caitlin opened the door. Are we still friends? Never, came the angry retort following a door slam. I stood there at the edge of the stairs. What are you looking at? Lexi demanded, her red bloodshot eyes staring darts into me. It's looking like I'm getting a dog. I started to say, but I was only got as far as it's looking, and then swallowed the rest. Lexi's face was so red her eyes were filled with tears. I didn't think I needed to say anything to make her feel worse than I did. Lexi sighed, dropped her shoulders, and walked past me, and up to her room without saying a word. There was nothing smug about her expression just then. I felt sorry for her. I truly did. But I shook off the feelings you can't get soft when you're in the middle of a war. Getting soft is how you're lose, and I was going to win.